Hello, everybody. Welcome to our special meeting on November 24th, 2025. And could we please go around, since we are virtual, have everybody uh, do a roll call. And I'll start off. Mike Mezjuski, Governing Chair.
Kenworthy,
Kathy
Vice
Carding,
Chair.
board member.
Great, Chris.
Chris Kenworthy, Vice Chair.
Skip Mackey, Secretary.
And also in attendance, we have Jackie Boak, our Head Administrator, Lisa Hughes, and Karen Warner, our Board Liaison. And there's no public comment. So has everybody had a chance to review the agenda? And do we have an approval or a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And has everybody following the same for our meetings from the last meeting on October 22nd? We have our meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
I will approve our minutes from our board meeting on October, what was it,
22nd.
22nd.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moving right into our governing council business as far as to review and revise the bus contracts. And I will hand it over to Lisa.
Perfect. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. Thank you for having a special board meeting for us. This was an awkward timing of this. We have 80-day bus counts coming up on December 1st. And we were also approved for 3 new buses, which have come in and are being used. So we need to make sure that they are on the contract prior to count day. So I will share some information just about how the bus process works for when we do get approval for new buses. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so this is an approval letter that comes from the PED. Once we get this, we forward it to our bus company. Currently, before we had all of these approval letters, your buses were spare buses. So you didn't have any buses that were technically Rio Rancho's Explore buses. They were all spare buses. Buses can be used for up to 12 years, and then we get approval letters to buy new ones. On average right now, buses from the time of approval letter and order are taking 1.5 to 2 years to come into service due to manufacturing timelines and things like that. So we have 3 of these packets, which states which spare buses they are to replace. And then with that, we put in the school bus replacement and database update date form. So it says, which is the new bus now that we are using? And we can't complete this process until we get the titles for the buses. So that's pretty much what takes longer after we get the buses in. It also tells us which bus it's replacing. So they have that updated at PED. And then we also have to submit the application for the title, the registration for the bus. This shows that the bus was inspected upon arrival, an invoice, the title for the bus, and the second page of the title. So that all has to be submitted. And we have 3 packets like that for the approval letters 16, 17, and 18, all that were approved 24-25 school year. So with that, we then update the contract, which I'll share with you now. And so this one was your original contract. We are amending it now. All of this stays the same. You will see an increase of price right here for 105,153. Those are the rental fees on top of your services now. But the bar that we are doing in conjunction with these approval letters and this updated contract is an increased bar to get those rental fees through the transportation distribution. So all of this then, the remaining pages remain the same. The only other thing that changes now is instead of seeing all of these rental fees here as 0, We show EA23, EA24, and EA25. Those are your new buses with the rental fees that will come out of the transportation distribution of 35,051, which is what those new calculated costs were on the contract. And then we just added that EA23, EA24, and EA25 are now running those routes. So those are the updated approval letters. Those are the updated A contract. And then Karen, is Amber here, or do you want me to present the bar?
She was not, let me just double check that she didn't join us. No, she's not here. So if you don't mind just sharing the bar as well,
I
I
don't
think you
mind
could
at
vote on
all.
this all in, board members, I think you could vote on this all in one motion to approve the revised contracts per the approval letters and the bar. And again, to reiterate, this is an increase from the transportation department to cover those rental fees. So it isn't a more cost to the school, it's more cost to PED transportation allocation award, more revenue
Due to
from
buses
them.
only being allowed to be in service for 12 years. So this is an increase bar, which is coming from the People Transportation Fund. It's a student transportation. It's for rental of equipment and vehicles. And it does match those rental fees of 105,153. And that is the bar total. And it is an increased bar to come from that transportation distribution.
What
So with that,
paperwork other than this bar has to be submitted to the PED to get that funding?
so this is what has to be
Nothing.
submitted. So
The
to
contract,
PED, they'll get those 3 approval letter packets in the bar. In the OBMS system, Amber will submit the increase bar, the 3 approval letter packets, and the updated contract with the bar, and that goes to PED to get approved. And then I will send the contract as well to the PED transportation department. But she also mentioned, Alyssa with PED transportation mentioned she'll get everything with the bar as well. But because we are so close to count day, I will send the contract to her in a separate email as well.
What are the chances that it doesn't get approved, and what's the plan for that?
none came from PED. Those approval letters come from PED, and um, they're the ones who are requiring that rental fee written the way it is, and it specifies your portion versus the transportation department
And I called
in the contract.
PED. I called Alyssa Marquez with PED this morning just to double check on everything. And the increase bar is what will cover it for those rental fees because it is mandated by PED that we replace buses every 12 years.
And Chris,
Okay.
we do this often every time we get new buses. This is not unusual for us, even though it's probably the first time your school has done it. They do as buses age out, this is part of the process. And what else is important to note is that the title, correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, but the title has to have the school name on it. Also, it's not a Herrera bus. It belongs to the school because of what the state, the school, because PED is paying the fees for the ultimately.
Correct.
So
How
are those
does that work? Because the address that's on,
Oh,
I
that's
see
the
it's
wrong
like a
I just
masthead
noticed
address,
that.
and
I just noticed that they put masthead on there. So I will have to get Herrera to fix that with their company. I will work with PED to make sure that they know that it is an Explorer Rio Rancho bus. Herrera sometimes gets the two confused. Thank you for catching that, but I will make sure that they do know that it is Explorer Academy Rio Rancho and see what else we need to do for that. But it is a
That
process
title,
that we do have to follow.
so that title is going to need to be changed. So when you submit it, we're going to need to note that because that's
Yes.
not going to happen by Monday.
No, that
And
won't
Chris,
happen by Monday. In fact, I'll
the reason,
call Alyssa after this meeting and let her know.
the reason the contract needs to be approved though, Chris, is that they're going to provide, but they're already actually using these buses, and they're going to provide counts for the students on whatever count day is next week, Monday, I think.
Monday.
And if we don't have the right buses on there, it's going to cause a problem with PED.
yeah, that
Because
makes
won't be
sense.
counting the
I
ridership on
just
the right bus.
you'll have to excuse, although I will not apologize for it going forward, my skepticism around paperwork that's being submitted, and this is a perfect example of where I's aren't being dotted, T's aren't being crossed, and it's obviously causing a lot of just financial headaches. I'm honestly kind of fed up with them myself. So I would request that all of those contracts, paperwork, any of that information that's being submitted to PED, I would like to see a copy of it as it goes out the door. Um, there's just been too many issues that
And I
and
do
not really
apologize for
sure
not
who.
catching that.
Yeah.
So
I don't
Herrera
know.
is the one who
I mean,
gathers.
I know that it's all protocol and whatnot, but why do we have to have our name on the title anyway? Because those buses are being used by Herrera for other schools as well, correct?
No, they're only for Explorer Academy buses. Those are your buses, and this is the process that PED follows. It's a rental fee over 5 years as part of the Transportation Distribution Fund to utilize the buses.
So specifically Explore Academy Rio Rancho.
Yes,
Well, once the titles are corrected, yes.
correct. And I'm going to call Herrera right now, and then I will call PED as well.
So Herrera puts those, gets the title and registrations done, right? So I didn't read them, to be honest. So anyway, but what's going to be submitted is the three approval letters with a notation that the title needs to be changed, the contract if you approve it, and the bar if you approve it. That's the packet that gets submitted. The only change I would say is when you make your motion, you may want to move to approve the contracts for the new buses per PED approval letters with the revision to the titles for your school and the bar.
And then I
We
can
need
submit
approval
the
on all that.
revised titles to you as well.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? So I will make motion to approve the contracts and the bar with the stipulation that the titles need to be adjusted to reflect Rio Rancho Explorer Academy on the title.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. And I will be calling Herrera and PED right after this meeting.
Thank
Okay.
you, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
Okay, so now moving on to Jackie regarding the revision to the school calendar.
Yeah, so goodness, on the 13th, was it the 13th? The 14th, we had a meeting with Amber in regards to her monthly financial meetings with us. She brought to our attention that we were going to see a larger deficit. It appears that, I think, what was it, Chris? 42, right around 42 ninth graders were put into our official operating cost, and we do not have ninth graders on campus. So that's going to result right around in a $90,000 shortfall. I wrote down 100. I think her notes showed 95. We also are going to see a deficit because when the calendar was submitted, it was submitted with 12/29 being a school day. As you were aware, we do not have school on 12/29. And so that again will be a decrease of funds. So I believe that came down to right around 70,000. And then just to remind you guys, it does appear that we did start school year 25-26 with $157,000 in a negative balance. I know that we asked Josh a couple times to clarify. He did say we had $30,000 ending in cash reserves. However, the DMG loan does not count as operational dollars. So after digging quite a bit and having multiple conversations with multiple people, we're looking at about a $318,000 operational shortfall. I did meet with Lorenzo from the state on Friday, Friday. All the days are blending. We could look at adding in a day to make up the day that was the 29th of December. However, we only need to add 0.5 of a day to get any more funding for K-5. Sixth grade, we will not see any money from. Sixth grade falls under the elementary window, not the middle school window. So seventh and eighth grade to add a day would give us roughly $28,000 to $30,000 back in SEG. Again, I don't know, I've been pondering that this weekend. One more day, yes, of course, 30,000, you know, at the highest is needed. I went through our budget this weekend. I believe I sent a copy over to Chris. I still am not getting the answers in which I've been asking for. So if I take our August 30th report from Amber at our last board meeting, and when I went line by line to see where money was kind of earmarked, where it was plugged in, if we look on other charges from one of our line items, there's a charge for $953,000. Nothing has been spent, nothing has been encumbered, and all of that money is still there. I would like to really figure out what all of these earmarked monies are before I propose adding a day to our calendar to make up $28,000 to $30,000, which is going to be a small drop in the bucket and will not solve our problem at this point, and upset a community again. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't have a motion to ask you guys to move or change or do anything. I just wanted to bring you with what I was given 2 weeks ago on the 14th. And then after talking with the state and Amber a little bit further and trying to figure out how we can climb out of this again and move forward. But I don't have a solution.
Jackie, for the minutes, can you tell me what the amount was you said for the line item that has 500 something? And what the amount was?
In our report from Amber at our board meeting on September 30th, under function 2500, there is other charges for $953,485.20. Nothing has been spent, nothing has been encumbered, and it's all still available. I have the same thing for fixed assets. We have a line item for $304,000. Nothing has been spent, nothing has been encumbered. What is that going for? I've asked these questions, I have not gotten answers. We have 2 transportation contracts. I just wanted to figure out, why do we have 2? I think it's going to be
Transportation contracts or line items? I'm not sure.
Line items. We have one under function 2600 and one under 13,000.
Lisa?
Same amount.
Yes, I just got off the phone with Martine, with Herrera to change the titles.
Okay, do you have, does this school pay a portion of their transportation, or is it all covered by allocation?
So prior to, right now, it was supposed to all be covered under the allocation of the transportation distribution. So I'm not sure why there would be 2 line items on that report, Jackie, because your contract came in right at the transportation award amount.
Yeah, there's a under line item 2600, there's one for $303,845. Again, nothing has been spent, nothing has been encumbered, so it's still sitting there. And then I do have one under 13,000, transportation contractors, 281, which actually matches what I was received from revenue. So that should be that one. But again, why do I have one that's holding a holding zone for 303? So my question is this money mine? Is this money going back? Knowing that we are in a deficit and we are over, I mean, we're gonna see it. Where and what is mine? And I still, you know, it is November 24th, and I still really honestly don't know what is my operating budget moving into this year, which is extremely frustrating. There's many line items in here that have other charges and it's just other charges, which is so vague. I have asked Amber, and she kind of just let me know that once we hopefully get our audit done, then she'll have a better idea. We are going to be transitioning services in about a week. So,
Never going to go through all of this again.
right. So I mean, again, $28,000 to $30,000. Yes, it's desperately needed. Um,
But not if
I
it's
think
not needed.
side, as far as your question was, do we have that money? I can tell you probably no. I mean, just the way that things have been going in the past, I think that there's, again, going back to what Chris had mentioned earlier, I don't know why we keep getting bad information. It just keeps getting compounded, and it's making us look like fools.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. And I do think that some of this is just they can't figure out what Axiom did at the end of last year is part of the problem. But
Right. Well,
I think that your new folks, they've been very impressive. Hannah and Haley for payroll, Hannah for um, business management. She has been attacking all things, trying to get as much set up and understand what's going on. And I think her input is going to be valuable in this next few weeks. I don't know if it's actually going to happen by December 1st. I think it depends on the transition of things, but in the next few weeks anyway.
Karen, what do other schools do when they find themselves in similar situations?
I don't know. I've never realized that business officials have given misinformation. And I assume that if they get the misinformation, that's why they get the audit findings and then they adjust to the audit findings. Um, I'm shocked that by the performance of some of the business management companies that I had never realized before.
I,
So
I
I don't have
think
a good answer for you.
some of it too, well, not some of it. I mean, this is the third year that calendaring has been kind of the main driver of surprises.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and I think I I would like to know, ultimately who is accountable for that. We're paying for services for folks to be helping with that. We as a board are approving things, and then what's being submitted is not in alignment with that. And from what I'm being told, there nobody can even produce a document showing what where that error was, who submitted it, where it came from, how it got introduced into the equation, things like that, um, are all question marks. I mean, I think we have some idea on the ninth grade piece of it, but then ultimately, when those worksheets are buried, hidden, not included when they're submitted, things like that, how is Jackie supposed to check that? How are we supposed to check that if
So
that stuff's just
yeah.
going on in the background? And obviously it can't be trusted.
Right.
So I don't know if you're asking me a question or not, but I agree. First of all, calendaring and the PED have been a mess every single year. They change the requirements. We don't know until the very end what's going to count, what's not going to count, what gets approved, what doesn't get approved. PED has had a lot of issues in terms of approving things for one school and not for another school. It's been a little bit of a mess. They also did not intend for a 4-day week to result in a better budget than a 5-day week. And yet that's what the PED did with their formulas, right? So lots of issues here. In terms of what was submitted, I don't know why we can't get what was submitted. Something had to be submitted to your budget analyst. And I know that Axiom submitted it with a ninth grade and based on a number from October's projections rather than on what was approved by you all. However, that was reviewed, that those budget worksheets get reviewed and signed off on by, I think, board chair and school leaders. So I think what we need to do is make sure to bring those budget worksheets rather than just the simple calendar um, to the meetings. And in the past, we have done that. Katie Rarick has done that with some years, some schools. I can't name which ones and where. But it's often very confusing, and the plain calendar that we give out to the public is more readily understood. But I think we've learned that there's more to it than that. Um, and so I don't disagree with you. I just think that there are documents where there's been sign off by the schools. So we may need to make sure that that comes to the board, I think, to make sure would be my response to overall to your comments.
And I have a question also, Karen. I was trying to go back to previous board meetings as far as the agendas and whatnot, as far as the documents that we've looked at and whatnot, because at the last era that we were encumbering, I was trying to figure this out. And every time I click on the previous agenda, because I wanted to create a binder that had all the originals, it's just taking me back to the current. It's not giving me history.
So
And I
you
don't
have
know
to
if,
go to the arc.
do we have
Yes,
that in?
yes. So the reason that happens is I don't change the link on the website. I just update the agenda each time, but I do PDF every agenda and save all the minutes in an archive folder. So that's available from the website, but I can also put it in the chat. Oh no, I'm not supposed to put it in the chat during a public meeting. I can send you the actual link, but the public can also go if you just go to the school website,
Thank you.
where
I
you
figured
see the current agenda.
just wanted to make sure
There's
that
the
there was that we could access all that info.
Absolutely. And so the public can access it. So there's a meetings and agenda and meetings archive that has agendas, minutes, and all the meeting materials grouped by the date. So historically, all the way back to when we started.
Very good. Thank you.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, Jackie, I don't know what to say, at this point. So
I know. I'm like, I'm kind of, I mean, I was a little deflated. I feel like this happens every year around this time, where, we have a big surprise regarding calendar and budget. As many of you know, we are going into our audit in about 30 minutes. Um, I wanted to kind of see how that goes before I present you. Do we want to look at adding a date? And here's the other thing is if we add a day, it can't be to an existing 4-day week, because one of my thoughts was like, hey, let's add a Friday during March and make it just for testing. That is not an option because then it moves us to 5-day and you can't go a 5-day. So it'd have to be looking at June 4th or adding a day during spring break, which, I mean, neither I think are palatable. Um, but I get it. And so I wanted to see how bad the audit is before we look at the next option and then decide what we want to do, and what is the most key. And then I'm really hoping that I can get to meet with Hannah and Amber, hopefully within probably after the Thanksgiving holiday, of course. So that week of the 1st through the 5th, to see if we can figure out some of these line items and what is my budget. We know we're going to be seeing a decrease because of SEG funds should start tapering down because of our 40th day. However, I built my budget based on 510, not 672. So I should not see this huge deficit, but unfortunately, with knowing that we started in a deficit of 157, and then these two other big blows, that now changes things quite significantly from where I originally had planned. So once I can figure out these mysterious other contract service line items, are they ours? Are they hidden dollars that, we think maybe Axiom put in place knowing that we were going to have to pull back from? Will that cover enough, or are we still going to be in a deficit? I do think we're still going to be in a deficit. I don't know where else I'm going to cut because if you guys also know, one of these line items I'm supposed to be earmarking for furniture. So
Which, yeah. Jackie, who told you you can't add a day on a week because that would make it a 5-day?
Lorenzo
Lorenzo.
from PED. He said if I do that, that takes us to a 5-day and that negates our 4-day calendar.
Again, that's PED, Lorenzo.
Mhm.
Isn't Albuquerque using some weeks of 5-day weeks?
I do not know how they are doing that, just like I don't know how Ask does that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if Asks is the same anymore or if they're considered a 5-day week because they used to be, it's 5-day weeks, but Friday is sort of
A tutor.
optional for students. Lisa, do you know like what those Fridays where kids can come on campus are counting as for Albuquerque?
They're not counting as instructional time. So they're
They're
counting
not.
as outside of instructional time. And so that's why the only times that they attend on Friday where it accounts as instructional time is when Monday was a holiday, so that they're still attending 4 days and not getting to the 5 days.
So Jackie, if you have outside instructional time days, don't you earn money for those too? And couldn't it be that? I don't know why Jake, no. Why is Jake offering those then?
Jake is, so I'm a tier
It's
2.
something totally different.
I only have so many days as tier 2, but I'm pretty much a traditional tier 1. Jake, I think, went to the 205. I am not the 205.
I see. That's why it's different. Also, just so you know, I'm hearing the same concerns and comments from Mr. Colander about getting Hannah to provide him a budget that makes sense. So, similar concerns there.
Yeah.
Karen, I have a question regarding, if do we have any legal recourse against Axiom or whatnot for all of these? I mean, basically, it would fall underneath an error and an omission policy that they would have to have, because ultimately, if this tracks back that we have such a huge deficit, if we were told that we don't have this, that we have a $30,000 surplus, do we have any ramification?
So I'm going to preface my comments with I'm not a lawyer. So, but I agree with you that there seems to be some liability on the part of your contractor regarding where you're at right now for several reasons and would be worth a conversation perhaps with your school attorney.
Thank you.
I think that double transportation contract line item may lend you some answers there, Jackie. I saw that too and had a note to ask about it. You brought it up before I got a
And you
chance
should
to.
only have the one transportation contract with 4 buses on there, which is the 281 line item, the one that has 281.
Which will
Yeah.
change now, but will be get more fun for it too, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But
So
there's
that
no
300
there's no 2 contracts. It's just 4 buses on the one contract.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that,
And then
yeah,
I
that
also
303,000 could
I'm assuming some of this is going back, or will be like washed because Amber has mentioned our SEG payment will start to taper off towards January because of our 40-day. So that's why I'm assuming, right? And I probably should never assume in this position anymore, that some of these were put in from Axiom, knowing that we did not plan for a 672, and so that these would just be pulled back. Which ones? I'm going to guess that huge one of 953,000 because that's going to probably be the shortfall, the big shortfall, and then that 300. But there's still a handful of other Like we have fixed assets. We are not doing any, I'm not buying anything. Fixed assets is a purchase. We have the emergency fund of 300,000. I think that was at the bond money. That's what I couldn't answer. There's a handful of other charges, not huge, but by this point of year, we should have already started to pull from these line items for some type of PO, and we have not pulled anything. So that's kind of where I'm like, well, will we be, will these be, washed out? Will we be getting anything? And that's what I've been trying to find. I did speak with Justin, and Justin advised me to look to see and ask the V-Hill group if we had any POs in these line items, and nobody could answer that. So again, just I don't have a clear budget. I don't have a clear answer. I don't have a clear idea. And so to say, hey, let's add June 4th or March 30th, I just don't feel 100% confident yet to do that. And then, I mean, 318 minus $28,000, that doesn't solve all of our problems. So I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
you need
Yeah,
answers to those questions. And then I don't understand why other chargers in the original budget drafted doesn't have an expansion to show you what those other charges are.
there's so many other
It's
charges.
bizarre.
It's really
Yeah,
weird. There's a ton.
agree. And we've asked about that a couple times now,
Yes. Yes.
during board meetings,
Yes.
and not gotten answers. Yeah, there's $953,000 that has no liabilities against it.
Right.
On the 2600 fund, operation and maintenance of plant.
And I know she's cleaned this up a little bit, but then, like I said, there's still so many that I'm like, what is this? Um, yeah.
So I think at this point, back to your original comment of sharing this information, but we were going to have our further discussion at your December 3rd meeting and hopefully have some more answers, maybe from this audit after this audit is done. But no action for today, obviously, on the school calendar.
Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you. So moving on, I think any other board comments? I think we kind of discussed all those board comments at this point. But if nothing else, I will make a motion to adjourn and hope everybody has a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.